Okay, gang, we're just going to wrap up here looking at uh, some house types and some general information, wrapping up kind of nature, culture, and other aspects, of this chapter too. So, in your text, you have this graphic and these pictures of the house types. Now, if it's a folk house type, what is it built of? Out of? Is it copper imported from somewhere, PVC, shingle, where the trees come from? No, it's all from local stock stuff. The field stones from that area, the logs that were cut down in the forest and hewn to be dovetails or hitched or whatever. So a folk house is one that is a picture of the area in which it was built. So you see a simple house like the dog trot here, or the upland south southern log, the saddlebag house. But look at the function of it for just a second. One, it's not very big. You could build this part of the house with this chimney, and that would suffice while you're doing other things. As your family grows, and as time for maybe more luxury potentially comes along because you have more labor on that homestead, maybe you build another one here and then you connect the two. So notice that there's a second chimney here. Obviously, wintertime, you're burning wood, you're trying to keep it warm. Where does everyone sleep? They sleep up in the top of the house, so that's where the heat's going to rise to. What about in the summertime when you're cooking in the kitchen? Well, who wants to eat in the kitchen where it's already 80, 90 degrees outside if you're in the South, and you got a fire in there too? So this is where maybe you have your permanent kitchen and your seasonal kitchen. I mean, this is the invention of hush puppies anyway. People rich enough to have a detached kitchen made fried dough balls to give to the dogs as they were taking the food that they didn't want to get attacked over back into the house. I apologize about that. But then you also have a breezeway there, so chairs, the children can be out in the breezeway because you channel the air through there and it becomes a comfortable place to sit and talk and while away what little bit of free time that you have. So, there are different designs on all of these. I don't know them all. Some of them aren't even clear to me. So a Quebec French farmhouse has a lot of French character to it. But this one does too, presumably. This one is the African American shotgun house and would have been there in Louisiana for sure. I think some of the design of the house has a lot to do with the long lot arpent system that the French settlers used down there, and you can see this if you look at the lower portion of the Mississippi River down there and how they apportion land. It's all connected to the rivers, but the lots look like this house looks. So that this is a door that opens into a long hallway. And if you read about it, they'll say, "Oh, well, the shotgun house is you could shoot, a gun through the front of the house and then go all the way out the back of the house without hitting anything." But a shotgun is a scatter. If you don't know, a shotgun scatters pellets. You need a rifle maybe or a smooth bore. So this is kind of clouded. You don't really know exactly the origins of it, but the hallway runs through one side of the house and all the other rooms from the kitchen, usually in the back, to the sitting room in the front and bedrooms are off to the other side. And you can remake these for modern times, as you can see this one has been. But that said, remembering, Cape Cod is a specific place. Going back to the map I used earlier in either part one or part two of this lecture about the Yankee houses, the Yankee folk region. That's what this is all intended to evoke for you, an understanding of why the houses are as they are. Why do they look as they look? Okay. I like if you've ever seen the horror movie called Midsummer, that's where I took this image from. This is from that movie, and some people didn't like it. I love horror movies though, and that one was quite wild. But this fits in with your decorated farmhouses of the Hälsingland of Sweden. And so these unique styles that they had of folk art and fusing, these houses all have a little bit different look, which is really kind of neat about how uniquely decorated they were. This is not from that movie. This is just from other pictures that I'd found. Um, but that kind of culture does need to be preserved so that we would see how unique it is. But do please go and see that movie if you want to see some really strange happenings. Think about this though too. Landscapes of Leisure here. Everybody know what this is, right? I have to admit, I'm not a Universal Studios kind of guy. I didn't really want to go see Harry Potter World, but our kids were that age. We like to actually take them to real cultures and not fake ones, but this was too cool, I have to admit. So to go down here and see this, a whole Harry Potter World, and we actually made two different trips after they built, the train, the Hogwarts Express to connect the two different parts of the park. Go down here. It's worth it, honestly, at least to see it once, because the magic is there. And I had kids at the right time for Pixar, Disney movies, and things like that. So I did branch out here and enjoy it. But look at this rustic landscape. This is in on the Tennessee Kentucky border. This is Home Place 1850 in Land Between the Lakes. There's a lot of things to do there. Certainly camping, Energy Lake. They have the wildlife habitat where they've got birds of prey that were injured that can't be turned back around. They got the bison and elk prairie. But this is a place that we went to a lot when the kids were young, and even as my wife and I were dating. On 4th of July is the firing of the anvil, the reading of the Declaration of Independence, to see how these people live in period. We even raise the flag on Independence Day. This is a pretty neat place. So you're trying to, again, go back to what would be a simpler time, but a more interesting time. Any other ways, you really wouldn't. You don't even know why you would go to Land Between the Lakes unless you got a boat, so you get on the lake itself. There's a lot to do here, though, and so to try and market these places of leisure, it could be through tourism, but it could be, golf courses and the like, and certainly those are exclusive. You'd have to have enough money, to go there or to be in the club. So, looking at American popular landscapes too, of these types of buildings. Just go to the Opryland Hotel and the terrarium or whatever they call it inside that you'd go to. This is a church. The cult of bigness. That we would accept something. Function might be a consideration. Form might be a consideration, but we do see a lot of disposable landscapes going up in this country. This is not necessarily an opinion. It can be backed up with facts, but look at the number of stadiums that are being torn down to build newer, up-to-date stadiums. How can you have a culture of history if you keep tearing it down every 25 years? Where the Braves played baseball in my lifetime, they're in their third stadium. I'm 51. They've got a new stadium. I hadn't been to it, but I went to the other two, Fulton County and the one that was the Olympic venue for when the Atlanta Olympics was there. But in looking at popular landscapes, they're not necessarily, as popular as you might think. That said, just understanding the casual chaos that you see here, the cookie cutter homes, the placelessness, and that all kind of goes right along with it as we've been talking about it, okay? So I'm going to draw this to a close now, and we'll call Chapter 2 done. Feel free to write or post if you have questions or things you want to entertain about these lectures, and I hope you found something of use. Okay, I'll see you in Chapter 3. Bye-bye.